Hey everyone. So, I wanted to do this around last Halloween, but given how we are halfway to next Halloween and the second season is starting next week, I thought it was a good time as any. any. And sometimes when there's like a raging fire online, I sometimes try to let it burn itself out before I try to offer a take. And also make sure I'm offering one that is uniquely mine and not just pouring gas on the inferno. Oh, that being said, even though I did not hate this show as much as other people did, it is an odd beast of the beast of an idea. Yeah, I think one of the strangest mysteries is not who done it, but rather who the heck this is even made for. So, with that in mind, let's go over how Velma is certainly a show that exists. I mean, given how much content has been vaulted by the current regime, and they're attempting to reshape the company into some kind of a vision that I cannot personally identify. I mean, I mean, I talked about this when I talked about the Flash in previous videos. It was that, in a way, it's not only representative of the uncertain waters we're in right now. How it's also indicative of them as well. How I mean the 2 years, whether or not they can keep staying the course or simply break off the merger, have elapsed as of this month, especially this week in particular. So, not as good a time as any. And when I talk about any other entire season of TV, I usually tend to start as I often do right at the beginning, and I made sure to watch every episode. I mean, I had before, but decided to wait out the peak of the trash fire before I decided to offer my perspective. So here we go. And as I talk about the titular pilot episode, first I want to make clear is I do not bear here any of the cast or crew any ill will. I've never met them, as I often have reiterated. They'll omit the suits that may have demand these changes or at the very least enabled them. Um, that's perfectly acceptable. I mean, just saying hi, David, is all. I mean, oh, and and even though these variants of the characters are quite different, and that Kaylin is trying, at least in the Tower role, is as Constance Wu as Daphne, Glenn and Howerton as Fred, and Sam Richardson as Norville Rogers, who claims not to be into who the he snacks. Right. And I'm going to be joining the Justice League soon. I also will note that it's not the first offbeat and somewhat twisted Hanna-Barbera reversion I've seen in my lifetime. I'm There are examples like the Adult Swim run Space Ghost Coast to Coast host, Harvey Birdman turning at law, uh, and the my personal favorite of those initial three, C Lab 2021, which takes the serious entertainment show C Lab and turns into a very bizarre, off the wall show, which many of us were a precursor to Archer, helped by the fact that Adam Reed was one of the major writers and animators behind the show, even turning the season 4 finale into a a kind of straight up pastiche of C Lab. But here's a key difference I will say between these and this one, like how whereas their source material, they're obscure enough to someone of my generation that they could be taking them more or less as their own merit. I mean, I openly admit I've never seen the original Sea Life 2020 that 2021 was based on. However, Scooby Doo is obviously a much more well known IP, and in fact, it's arguably the most well known IP in their canon. It's pop culture history, and it's definitely gonna only get more gory and sway from here. And if I'm being completely honest, the changes to the characters, his personae, the naughty words, and the gratuitous and narrative gore didn't really do much for me. I mean, it's nothing I haven't seen in the last quarter century of Family Guy or the other parts of McFarlane verse, if I'm being completely honest. And I'll come back to that as well. Anyway, second episode features Norville and going after the Candyman, who he's unaware actually slipped him something in the snacks he was testing on his channel. And come on, Rogers, it's not even the first person who's seen consume and then look at weird things on YouTube. I've seen people do that stuff all the time. Watching bread to video essays and people making fun of bad video games, man. And it ends up being something a bigger mess than that AI generated Wonka experience in Glasgow earlier this year. Here to officially pay this video over the here and the now. And when Fred ends up being one of the prime suspects in the he deaths of these teenage girls, he during the court case he gives up a vibe of being an infomercial extra who and how he fails to cut a steak. I mean, makes sense. And at this point, I would say that the trial was a bigger circus than OJ's. Too soon? Mm-hmm. And even like the bit about how the code of adults do hormones cartoons, I didn't take the bait. Instead, just shrugged like that Fresh Prince meme again with Archer, South Park, Toonami, Adult Swim. Like, I ain't even mad. Hmm. Of course, episode 3, Velma Kai, as I call it, or as I prefer to call it, Oob Fighter 3, Second Impact, or lack thereof. I mean, I was expecting to be ready to basically stop short of burning this whole thing at the stake, but it's, in a way, there's just so much going on that it just starts to become almost noise after a while, where, I mean, in terms of, as I mentioned, like whether when the violence is both played seriously and played humorously, to me it's just like that's it. I basically came off looking at a Demon Slayer movie last month, and also have bunch of Zom 100 queued up, so I'd say it's just intermediate. And even with the current plot thread of Velma's relationship with Daphne being, in a word, complicated as it sometimes is in most other versions, and the funny thing is that there are a few allusions to material and the Hanna-Barbera canon as a whole that did throw me. I actually wouldn't mind them building upon. And episode 4, Velma's got a little list of sorts. I may not be the most well versed in Goblin and Sullivan to start singing right now. However, I will give them like the Teen Angels poster in in Daphne's bedroom, whom, again, the few Easter eggs that do amuse me, who me actually are the ones that, again, just kind of threw me for a loop. I refer you to when I looked at like the 2020 Honey film, where Destiny not only caught that bird they finally after, but they stuffed it. And just seeing that one off is disturbing more than most of the things here, to be honest. I mean, episode 5, the band camp sleepover. I mean, feel free to insert her a joke about doing something naughty with a clarinet at your leisure. I mean, I can do it too, guys. It's not that hard. I mean, and this is also one version of the story where Daphne is adopted. I mean, as well, turns out her real parents are crystal smugglers, and I will admit the Captain Caveman suits they wear to elude the authorities are another okay Easter egg. I mean, since it. And one underlying mystery, apart from who's causing these bodies to pile up, and their brains being scooped like ice cream, is the fact that Velma's mother, Dia, went missing before the story began, and is giving her flashbacks, and not good kinds either. Though I can't think of very any that would be good in this particular instance. And we're already halfway through this, so might as well keep going. Episode 6, The Sins of the Fathers and Some of the Mothers. I mean, even with the admittedly dysfunctional family dynamics, it's nice it's not screwed up as New Good Times, which I actually think is actually really worse. I mean, that's kind of for someone who's not a huge fan of the visual of that one, but at least understood why people aren't happy. Which I'm doing my best. I mean, that's one thing I'm trying to get across here. I do not personally have anything against the show like others do, but at least understood why it caused such a fiasco. And though I admit the brain switching is a bit much, and the operations were the method doing so was the Special Covert Operations Brain Initiative, or Scooby for short, were Great Danes involved. I mean, I'm just kind of spitballing here because I don't think they've gotten the dog yet. I mean, since, or at least that's what seemed to be implying. I mean, since, like, it's weird because like they say this is chronologically allegedly a prequel. Well, but while a lot of people dress like it's 60s or 70s, and even having cars that resemble that fact as well. They also have smart devices, computers, and apart from the Hanna-Barbera Easter eggs, they do who crib a lot from modern pop culture as well. So, and I'll keep getting into that as I continue. Episode 7, Fogfest, and this one at the annual dance slash fair celebrates the creepy fog, which is a big tourist draw. Crams in a lot of Easter eggs from the source material, which admittedly I didn't find that bad. Like trying to elude who'd a masked as hoodlum through a bunch of mystery attractions, disguises. Though I will admit, at its very worst, it's a mega mess as like last year's Burning Man was. And part of me can understand, like, I guess according to like the log lines I saw, they wanted to scream, and quite a lot of other people, it ended up like one of its mockbusters. Bottom line, Fred gets kidnapped, but it's obviously not the end of that storyline. I mean, and yeah, there's a lot also going on even amid all the profanity and blood. So there's that. Episode 8 is basically Cabin in the Woods, and that is more or less the title they go with, and I suppose it's a mutual riffing where Cabin in the Woods has often been seen as kind of like an unofficial live action and Scooby Doo adaptation, so, and this one is also, bringing that here. Granted, it's not quite as clever as that film was, but it's something. And of course, conveniently, Fred is being held where the teen victims' brains are being kept alive in jars. I mean, a brain that wouldn't die joke, they saved Hitler's brain joke, Head on Futurama joke, and Day's Head on Star Trek joke, and this all day, guys. It's kind of interesting when at certain points, I mean, you have to deliver the good news and the bad news. The bad news is I have no idea why they went towards approach the characters, or how they went about doing this. The good news, I don't really care. So after being found, Dia is also ends up being framed for what happened. So they had to clear her name and find out who actually done it before it's too late, which leads to a few failed attempts to try and get in on the inside in Womon of the house where, and there's also been this kind of subplot where her husband had a mistress and child with one of the people at the mold shop. It's. I mean, as I'm about to wrap this up, I'm gonna be carelessly honest, like how even if you did want a darker version of Scooby Doo, you're not sure on options, official or otherwise. I just mean, here are a few off the top of my head I can think of right now. I really like Zombie Island and Mystery Incorporated for animated ones. Like, there was also like the Hanna-Barbera Beyond comics, which ended up like a few of those ones that imprint from DC ended up heightening in the fan theory that the whole franchise takes place in an economic downturn where ordinary working people end up becoming conners to make and just get by, which is kind of plausible in this day and age. And one I really like, which also really bizarre and inappropriate, but also really funny if you're into that kind of thing, the Misadventures of Skooks YTP series from Orpheus for the Win. You might have seen one clip getting shared around, which is pretty hilarious by itself. What I want to know is, where's the caveman? So 10, the brains of the operation, and once you know it, it turns out it was Mrs. Jones the whole time. And I'm not even going to begin to untangle all the justification about why she did it, because honestly, hey, the leaps that were actually did in order to make what happened happen and are about as not as bizarre as you might think, if not more so. And it appears that she bought it when the caves are collapsing and around them. Something tells me that the stinger that says was second season, and which thanks to who the blowback resulting in more publicity and views, will be coming next week. Hey, so oh, I'm not sure whether they'll stay the course or change paths, but based on the initial previews, the second season looks like it's somewhere between. So here's the bottom line: this may not personally be my least favorite Scooby Doo adaptation. I've seen others that I've disliked more that I will be talking about later in the year, no matter what I end up being for that. But at least understood where a lot of the dislike was coming from. Um, it's also kind of a bizarre show in the same sense when I talked about like the first season of the Halo series on Paramount earlier in the year, where it makes quite a few changes to try and appeal to more people, but also requires a viewer to know a lot about it. So it's basically a be kind of like this. If I were to make a Pokemon adaptation where instead of training monsters, the trainer avatar is basically a a bread tuber, her analyzing stuff out of the bedroom while chugging espresso all the time. I'm, which I don't think is the direction that they're going to be going with for what they actually have planned next. I mean, who knows? Maybe Norville, who will try and lose, like being like an OC loser from Overwatch, let his hair grow out so it's a bit more shaggy, and maybe he'll get a dog. I mean, if they can switch brains between people, well, it would not be too implausible, at least based on the rules that the show established, to put one inside a dog's head. I mean, and maybe we'll see a more elements from the material be brought in, and maybe a a Gleek from the Super Friends might fly out of my hindquarters. Anything's possible this day and age. Well, you needn't worry. I'm not going to talk about season 2 right away. I still got a Bad Batch vlog to get out. I definitely am eager to talk about both Transformers 1 and Knuckles, which both like adaptations that won't be going quite the same route this one did. And also, something that'll help us get together and feel alright this weekend as well. So, that'll be it for now. Oh, see all you Scoobies later. Hmm.